If I knew these things about hair care sooner, my hair journey would have been 100 times smoother. So to hopefully save you some of that time, effort, and frustration on your hair journey, here are the 10 things that I wish I knew about hair care from day one. Number one, you should not be treating your scalp and your hair the same. I think it's really easy for us to just assume that the state of our lengths and ends is representative of the state of our entire head of hair, including our scalp. And even if we're not doing that, I still think that it's really easy for people to prioritize the needs of their lengths and ends and then neglect the needs of their scalp in the process. But our hair and our scalp should be treated completely differently because they are completely different things with a completely different set of needs, which I actually think I literally just said word for word in a recent video, but it's important, so it's worth mentioning again. The second that a strand of our hair emerges from our hair follicle and makes contact with the light of day, it's dead. Obviously, the skin on our scalp is not dead. It's very much alive. So when you just think about it at that very basic level, it makes sense that our scalp and our hair would respond to ingredients in different ways. And that alone would make it make sense, at least to me, I think, that our scalp and hair have a very different set of needs. But we can further separate the needs of our hair and scalp by thinking about the factors that cause issue for them. I'll give one super simple example just to illustrate that point. So let's say that you're somebody that straightens your hair with a flat iron every single day. I know that that's not super common these days, but again, just for the sake of illustrating this point, let's pretend that you are. Obviously, your hair is going to become increasingly damaged, which is going to make it look increasingly more dry, frizzy, and unhealthy overall. But that has quite literally nothing to do with what's happening to your scalp. You could have an extremely healthy scalp, but at the same time have severely damaged lengths and ends. And that's because most of the damaging factors we expose our hair to are not affecting our scalp in the same way or even at all. That's obviously not always going to be the case because when you think about something like UV, that can cause damage to both the skin on our scalp and our hair, but for the most part, things like heat styling, chemical treatments, mechanical wear and tear. Why am I out of breath? Those are all factors that damage our hair, but don't influence the health of our scalp whatsoever. So the reason that I bring this up and the reason why I wish I knew about this sooner is because it's so important to consider your scalp and hair separately when you're looking for hair care products. A lot of people with severe hair damage are concerned about how dry their hair looks and feels, so they'll be on the hunt for dry hair friendly products. But if your scalp is super oily, using a shampoo that's meant for dry scalps is going to be the worst thing that you can do. So in an attempt to help your hair, you could actually be hurting your scalp. So my recommendation is to, number one, start off by selecting a shampoo that is going to be best suited for how oily your scalp is. If your scalp is very dry, by all means, continue to reach for those shampoos that are marketed towards dry scalps. But if your scalp is really oily, make sure that you're avoiding shampoos like that and instead reaching for things that have words like clarify or detox on the label, or just have deep cleansing agents. Then after that, you can select a conditioner, a hair mask, leave-in products based on the needs of your lengths and ends. So it's very, very common for people to have a super oily scalp, but lengths and ends that feel dry and damaged. So if that's the case, you can select a conditioner that either has bond repair ingredients, strengthening ingredients, things of that nature, or feels really nice and thick and creamy and deeply conditioning. Ideally, both of those things, if that's what you're into. And that transitions really nicely into the second thing that I wish I knew sooner, and that is that you absolutely do not need to use the same brand or same product line for your shampoo and conditioner. While there are some shampoo and conditioner sets that together work really nicely for both my scalp and hair, more often than not, I'm using a shampoo and conditioner that are either from a totally different product lineup or completely separate brands. And not only is that not a bad thing, like there's no reason why you can't do that, it's actually probably going to be the best case scenario because it's allowing you to uniquely treat the needs of your scalp and hair. So for example, as most of you know, I'm a really big fan of the L'Oreal Bond Strengthening, or now newly renamed Bond Repair line, but I don't think that that shampoo is the best for me to use given that I only wash my hair 2 to 3 times a week. If your scalp is really dry, then I think that that's a great shampoo, but for me, I have an oilier scalp and I far prefer to use something that is more intensely clarifying. So when I'm using the L'Oreal Bond Repair Conditioner, I'm typically reaching for something other than that shampoo, like the Way Detox Shampoo, Pantene Volume and Body, one of the K18 shampoos, like any of my favorites that I have mentioned in recent videos. I actually did just mention all of my favorite shampoos in a video that I posted talking about my shampoo routine and a bunch of shampoo questions that you guys had for me. I'll list that below if you haven't seen that yet and you would like to know what some of my favorites are, but typically It's not going to be the same thing as what I am using for conditioner. Sometimes it is. Sometimes there are those sets that do work well for both, but usually not. Wait, this is a good segue too, and I didn't even do that on purpose. And that is number 3 on my list, which is that gentle shampoos are usually not going to cut it if you have an oily scalp. Obviously, as with literally anything else that I say, that is not always going to be the case. So there may be a shampoo that claims to be gentle that works amazing for your oily scalp, but more often than not, what I have found in testing out countless shampoos that claim to be extra gentle, sulfate-free, they usually just do not give me a good enough cleanse for having a scalp that I would consider to be oily. And I don't even have a severely oily scalp. It's just that my scalp definitely leans more oily than it does dry. So if you feel like you can consider yourself to be in the same boat as me, or maybe you are super oily, extremely oily even, if that's the case, I would definitely avoid shampoos that claim to be extra gentle because of the fact that they typically only contain extra gentle cleansing agents. And that's not to say that there can't be other ingredients added to the formula that can aid in the removal of oil and buildup, because there absolutely can be. But if I were to just give you a blanketed recommendation so that you're more likely to purchase a shampoo that actually effectively cleanses your scalp, it would be to avoid those that claim to be extra gentle. But on the flip side, if you do have a dry scalp, then I think reaching for shampoos with claims like that can be a nice way to prevent yourself from worsening that dryness if you're in the phase of testing out different shampoos and trying to find one that's best for you. Of course, you could always run into a situation where you feel that you don't get the benefits claimed on the label, or they don't really add up with the results that you get. There is always the risk of that. I have that happen to me so many times when I'm testing out hair products. But again, if I'm just giving kind of a general piece of advice when trying to look for shampoos, those would be words to look out for, to either go for or avoid. Number 4 is in the same vein as that, but a little bit different, and that is that products can serve very different purposes than what is actually claimed on the label. In other words, it's totally okay to use a product to achieve a specific result that's different from what the product claims it will help you to achieve. I don't know if that was a good in other words kind of sentence, because I feel like that just made it more complicated. So let me give you an example. The Pantene Volume and Body Shampoo that I have now talked about so many times is my all-time favorite clarifying shampoo. But when you look at the label, you will probably notice that clarifying, detox is nowhere on the label. And that's because Pantene does not market this as a clarifying shampoo. To them, the way that they have chosen to market this is a shampoo that's going to give your hair volume. And the reason why I wanted to use this as an example is that whenever I recommend this shampoo for clarifying purposes, I will always see a comment or two asking why I would recommend that when the brand doesn't call it a clarifying shampoo. And that is for 2 main reasons. Number 1, my personal experience in using the product, and number 2, the ingredients in the product. So the reason why I wanted to test this out in the first place is actually because of the fact that it said volume and body, but I didn't want to use it because I wanted more volume from a shampoo. I wanted to use it because I had a hunch that if this was claiming to give me volume, it would likely be really good at clarifying without leaving any sort of buildup behind. I have found that to be the case with a lot of volumizing shampoos because they're going to be free from those ingredients that can leave that residue that weigh your hair down in order to give you that volume. So when I saw this sitting on the shelf, saw the fact that it was completely clear, not really creamy or milky looking, and I flipped over the bottle to look at the ingredients list, I was like, my hunch is probably going to be correct, because the first 2 cleansing agents are sodium lauryl sulfate and sodium laureth sulfate, both of which are obviously sulfates, which are considered to be very effective cleansing agents. Obviously, I went home and tested it out after that, and the rest is history. I quickly fell in love with it and realized I had never gotten as good of a cleanse with any other shampoo that I own than I did with Pantene. Well, specifically that Pantene shampoo. So all of that to say, you can absolutely get results from a product that aren't listed on the label of that product or aren't marketed by the brand. This is actually kind of inspiring me to make an entire video on this topic, like the certain claims and words that I'll look for on products in order to get a completely different result than the one that's actually listed. Like, this is a perfect example. Anyway, that's a story for another time. Let me know if you would like me to do a separate video on that. I don't know if you actually will, but let's move on for now. Oh my gosh, number 5. I wish I knew this sooner, and that is that air drying makes my hair look greasy, and that is something that I actually found in a very old paper once when I was just doing some research on hair training. Again, keep in mind, this is an old paper. It was actually published back in 1981, which is kind of crazy to think about with the evolution of hair science and how it's not in a great place still. But the reason why I still reference it is because I have yet to find another journal published that talks about these same kinds of topics. There's just one super brief sentence on it in this paper, but it specifically says that hair dried in air loses sebum at a slower rate than hair dried with a hot air dryer. And I know that that sounds a little bit backwards, but the reason why it's worded that way is because something else they talk about in this journal is the fact that your hair actually loses sebum the further you go between washes, which also sounds backwards. But when we do things like brush our hair, sleep on a pillow, and have our hair rub against the pillow, we actually lose sebum from our hair. And according to this, if we air dry our hair, that sebum removal process moves at a slower rate than it does if we blow dry it. And I swear the second I read that, it was like an actual light bulb went off in my head, because I had always felt that my hair looked so greasy the day after I let it air dry, and that was never an issue I had if I blow dried my hair. So as somebody with an oily scalp, I wish I knew that from day one, because air drying my hair is something that I tested out in my hair journey, and I always hated the way that my hair looked. I was like, why do I feel like it's getting greasy more quickly? I was trying to figure out if it had something to do with my shampoo or the way that I was shampooing, but it really was just the fact that I wasn't blow drying my roots anymore. Number 6 is the fact that hair products do not make your hair fall out unless you are allergic to them. And I know that that's kind of controversial to say on social media these days, because there are so many people that are convinced that the products they are using are making their hair fall out at a faster rate. But that is just not how our hair growth cycle works. And that's not something I felt comfortable saying before starting my trichology journey. But since studying that and getting my certification, I can say that with confidence now. Our hair growth cycle has nothing to do with the products that we are using on our scalp, unless, number one, we're allergic to the ingredients in them. And then of course you can have some sort of reaction that causes hair fall. Or number two, you're like slathering product on your scalp without washing it. And then in that case, it's really just more so, oh my gosh, what's the word for that? A matter of improper cleansing than it is the actual product that you're using. But I wish that that is something that I knew from day one, because I have definitely been there where I'm using a product and I'm looking through reviews to figure out if it's really the right kind of product for me or if other people like it. And I see these claims about hair loss and I start to second guess myself and start to get worried, like, oh my God, wait, is my hair shedding more? Is this making my hair fall out? Have I been ruining my hair this whole time when I thought I was helping it? Those are totally valid concerns to have after seeing reviews of that nature online, especially post-COVID. Oh my gosh, I made an entire video talking about this because I just could not believe the number of reviews that we have these days underneath hair products, literally from every brand, everywhere, claiming that that product made their hair fall out. I'll list that video below if you haven't seen it yet, because I go into much more detail as to my hypothesis around that and what's actually happening if you're experiencing increased shedding. But in short, please know that if you are experiencing increased hair fall, it is not a result of the products you're using on top of your head. It's a result of what's happening inside your body. Oh, hey there, little diaper boy. Hey. You want to come say hi to the camera? Say hi, diaper boy. Say hi, diaper boy. Oh, I can give you guys an update on Quincy, my sister Emily's dog. So if you happen to see the one video where I talked about the fact that he wears diapers, he had his appointment at the University of Minnesota, and they think it is some sort of hormonal issue that he has. So nothing actually wrong internally. They did like a little procedure to determine that. But they think maybe he has some hormone issues. Hormone issue boy, diaper boy. But he's doing great. Good job, bud. Okay, next. This one drives me insane. And it is this whole debate around having a film on your hair. You will often see that word used when people are explaining why you shouldn't use drugstore hair care products. They'll say, oh my gosh, don't use them. They're terrible for your hair. They create a film around your hair and then your hair can't breathe. When in reality, that film is not only a good thing, but is essential to protecting your hair. I think people get so turned off by that or worried about that because film does sound gross. Like when you think about something leaving a film on your skin, it's like, ew, you don't want to feel that. But like I was mentioning earlier, our skin is completely different than our hair. And while, yeah, a film on your skin doesn't sound pleasant, a film on your hair is so beneficial for it because that helps to protect it from so many different causes of damage. And I think a nicer way to help you to think about that is to use the word coating instead of film. So using a conditioning product to create a coating around the hair that then protects your hair, helps to make it softer, shinier, more manageable, easier to detangle, less frizzy. It just sounds nicer to me. But regardless of the word used to describe it, it is a good thing. Your hair does not need to breathe. Your hair couldn't even breathe if it wanted to. And yeah, product can build up on your hair, but that's the whole purpose of using shampoo, to help to get rid of it. Oh my gosh, number 8. If you take one thing away from this video, maybe let it be this, because this changed my life. Oh man, but the next one did too. Okay, both of them. Let's start with this. That is that being gentle with your hair is so much more important than you realize. I think it's really easy to get caught up in all of these different hair repair products that are out there. What should I use to help to strengthen my hair? What can actually repair it? Should I use this bonding product or this damage repair product? What's gonna make the biggest difference? What's the best for my hair? And while using products like that can absolutely help and has helped me, if you are not being gentle with your hair, it still matters, of course, but you may still end up with severe breakage, even if you are using the right products, if you're not being gentle. Because mechanical manipulation is what ultimately causes our hair to break. Whether it be from brushing, using some sort of styling tool, massaging shampoo into our hair, having our hair rub on a pillow, or hair strands against each other, those are all things that ultimately cause our hair to snap or break off. So to prevent that from happening, the best thing that you can do is be so careful when doing anything to your hair. Instead of yanking a brush through tangles, start off by gently loosening that tangle with your finger and then using a brush after. Wear your hair in loose hairstyles instead of styles that pull really tightly, and avoid styling tools that require you to pull and tug and twist on your hair. I'm looking at you, Revlon One Step Styler. Of course, you're not gonna see an immediate improvement in your hair when you start being gentle with it, but that is something that will make the world of a difference over time, regardless of the products that you're using. But like I said, this next thing also is just life-changing, and that is the way that you apply products. You could use the exact same product, but if you apply it in one way versus the other, which I'll explain in a second, it could completely change how your hair responds to it. I often see people applying leave-in conditioner on camera, maybe in a get ready with me or something, and they will typically do and be done. And if you have super thin, fine hair, then that may be fine. But if you don't, it's not enough to protect your hair. You are neglecting all of the hair under here by just spraying that outer layer of your hair. I don't know what that was. In the same way that you're neglecting a bunch of your scalp if you're only massaging shampoo on this area of it. Same thing with conditioner, same thing with a hair mask, same thing with a bond repair product. So when you're reaching for your hair care products, think about using them in a way that covers as much hair or scalp, depending on the product, as possible. I think for a lot of people, the visual of separating their hair into sections is most helpful. I know that was actually really eye-opening for me, especially with leave-in conditioner, because I love using leave-in conditioning sprays, and I also used to just do but once I started literally sectioning off my hair and doing this, clipping it up, spraying each section individually, I started to realize how much of my hair I had been neglecting. Over my whole life. Start applying in sections and start seeing the most massive improvement in your hair. And last but not least, certainly not least, is number 10, which is the fact that most of the widespread myths about hair products that are out there are not true. I feel like at this point, everything that we have just been taught to believe over the years, such as drugstore products being diluted or watered down, silicones giving you temporary results but causing long-term damage, drugstore products being filled with waxes, all those kinds of things are false. And I know that there's a lot of misinformation about skincare, but I feel like it's worse for hair care. I feel like so many of the things that everybody has just been told are true are not true. It's really interesting to think about, because those kinds of myths have very much dictated the way that consumers shop for hair products and what they believe about hair products. And as a result, in a lot of cases have actually caused more harm than good for people's hair. I mean, obviously that's not the case for everything, because if you avoid drugstore products because you believe that they have waxes in them, that's not going to cause harm to your hair if you're using high-end over drugstore. But for a lot of those things, it does actually cause harm to your hair. And if it's not harming your hair directly, it's just harming your brain. It's just been super eye-opening for me throughout my hair education journey to realize that so much of what we have been taught is actually the opposite of what is scientifically true. And while that's not always something that really matters, like there are things that we may be convinced of that don't end up affecting our hair, I still think it's important to call that out, because I think I just want to remind everybody to not take what you see on social media at face value, especially about hair. Instead of getting sucked into all of these really crazy claims, the best thing you can do for the health of your scalp and hair is to test products out for yourself and then evaluate how your unique scalp feels, how your unique hair feels. Yes, of course, there are creators like myself who give recommendations, and you can kind of use that to guide you along the way. But if someone says something that just isn't true for your own experience, go with what works for you. Go with your experience. Use that to guide you more than anything else. Because so much of what is out there and what is like heavily promoted in the hair industry is just bogus. All right, you guys, those are all of the things that I wanted to share for today's video. I'm super excited to hear what you think in the comments. Let me know, did you learn something new from this video? Is there something I talked about that you want to expand on? Share some of your own personal experience. If you would like me to do another video just like this, but with 10 new things, let me know, because this list is just always growing and changing for me, so I can definitely do that. And if you did enjoy this and found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, click on that notification bell, and send my channel to a friend. Thank you so much for your support in doing those things. It really does mean the world. Thank you for watching my videos. I love the freaking heck out of you guys. Make sure to stay tuned for my next one, because that will be up in a few days. But until then, I hope you have a great few days.